Morning to you, good afternoon to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Maiyegun live, and you can share the broadcast as you are joining. Thank you.
Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Maiyegun já wa sí.
Thank you, thank you.
Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í kó níbẹ̀ o. Bó bá ṣe eré, àní Maiyegun máa wí. Ó sì tún ṣe eré, wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o.
Thank you so much for joining me. And yes, if you have the opportunity of seeing the notification that Maiyegun is live, yes, this is live. And thank you again for joining me. Share the broadcast, invite your friends, and then we will hit the road running. We're already late.
Àníyàn súnra kì í.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Thank you.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì í.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Àníyàn súnra kì í.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Lórí Facebook.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Àníyàn súnra kì í.
Thank you so much for joining me. For those who received the live notifications, and then for those who are still going to join us later, probably when you decide to watch the broadcast from the beginning, you will see this your own greetings. So thank you very much. Yesterday we spoke about the fire incident at Next Cash and Carry in Abuja, and we saw the video of the burning mall. Also, we saw people who looting the place. Police actually arrested some. But you see, after that broadcast, we realized that there were other Nigerians there too, whose efforts in running in out of that building was to rescue whatever they could rescue. And in the process, everything they could salvage from the building were left just outside the compound. And so we should give them the credit for that. So when it all started, it was this video. Yeah. Then this. Yes. Then afterward, later in the evening, this video surfaced where most of what they, salvaged from the building were left in the compound. For the record.
Oh, can you imagine? It wasn't even recording. Allah. So all the goods that you saw that were being looted, this is where they were being brought. Okay? They were trying to salvage as many goods as possible, because the fire had been on for a while. So all those things that you saw in trolleys that they were dropping, they were bringing them and dropping them here to save as many products as possible. This is just a shadow of what they could have saved in that place if they had found out this fire had started earlier. But these are the goods, okay? They were not being, there was no actual looting going on. They were helping them to bring out as many things as possible to drop in this heat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our sister who made that video. So, for those who did this, their patriotic and humanly, response in this manner is highly commendable, and we say thank you to them. And we hope, whenever there is a crisis like that, not just fire, if you have any breakout crisis in your community, protect the business centers in your community. Do what you can, to save them from arsonists, from looters, and what have you. So, because if any business in your community is looted or destroyed, they are not just only going to take away jobs, which is most essential, or let me say, they are not just going to, business is not just going to lose money, or insurance is not just going to have to cover that, but they won't cover your jobs. Possibly the service that you also enjoy in that community, you are likely going to do without them for a while. So if you have essential stores, outlets in your various community where you live, you know what I mean? Whenever crisis breaks out, join the team that will salvage whatever they can salvage, that can protect that place, because you won't just be protecting the business, you'll be protecting, jobs, you'll be protecting the service that most people actually lives on, rather than having to go miles to get them. So thank you very much. Also, a quick update. The man that got abducted, arrested, or let me say abducted stroke arrested by the Imo State Police Command, lawyer to the governor of the state, in their political, rivalry, that many of you have now come to an update that indeed most of the insecurity going on in eastern Nigeria can be traced to these characters, these political characters from that part of Nigeria. Well, the update is that Uche Nwosu has been released. So whatever could have been the problem, that he was never invited, according to him, and then the police had to go and arrest him or abduct him in a Gestapo style during church service yesterday. So he got released, and he said they are trying to link him up or link him with the political crisis, insecurity in eastern Nigeria. I just want you to pay attention, okay? Because I am somebody, the reason why you have Maiyegun's diary is because some of you or some of us loves putting or keeping records in your diaries, different ones every year, and you probably have them all stored up somewhere. I don't have such a privilege, so I chose Maiyegun's diary political to keep record of political events, actors, decisions, because I believe so much in consequences, good or bad, for every action everyone takes, either as an individual, in your individual capacity, in a corporate capacity, or in this case, in a country, as in a capacity as somebody in charge of a country. So Maiyegun's diary keeps those records. Criminals always, when they plot their scheme, and they have drawn millions of people into their untimely death, some of them not physically. Most people are walking ghost with what politicians have done to Nigerians, especially in the last decade, 10 years, majorly the 7 years of that from this corrupt, murderous government that never takes any responsibility. When they do the damage, they turn around to present themselves as a solution, most of the time as your messiahs, because they are part of the game. They understand the game according to them, even though this is a life and death of a thing, but to them, it's a game. So the reason why we keep the record is for you to identify and never get carried away by emotion or whatever else that Nigeria thrown at you, which most of the time are enabled by our general problem, which is the Stockholm syndrome. The Stockholm syndrome that makes you completely forget the trauma brought upon you by these rogues. So Amaechi made a statement today, not today, I think it was yesterday. It became an headline all over Nigeria. And for those who are really used to these these fraudsters in charge of Nigeria, whatever Nigeria is facing right now is the consequences of their actions and inactions in the last 7 years. And for these 7 years, they have always been shifting the goalposts, passing the buck, passing the blame. They have never been responsible for anything. In their latest statement, Amaechi said, the reason why you have insecurity in Nigeria is because of the failures of Goodluck Jonathan. He also said the reason why Nigerians are poorer today in poverty is because Goodluck Jonathan's government stole everything they could steal. And in fact, what they left for Nigeria was, would not by any means sustain Nigeria for 3 weeks. But because Nigerians mostly suffer from what I call the Stockholm syndrome, or what everyone knows as a Stockholm syndrome. Some people live in, in denial. Sometimes some of them live in selective amnesia. So that is, they know the truth, but they can avoid it because it's going to hurt somehow. But we still have to say it because the mumbo jumbo of why Nigeria will never work, like Amaechi said, Nigeria is not working. Nigeria can never work. Nothing they do. He said even if they break Nigeria into 6, Nigeria will never work. He was right. Because nobody takes responsibility. No one is responsible. 7 years ago, which we can say was December 2014, the rogues who worked and helped Goodluck Jonathan to the point of no return and decided to bury him and bury whatever he thought he was doing in the name of one Nigeria then. Jumped ship, they jumped their ship, and then they now turn around to say they were the savior. And indeed, they got the job. Amaechi was one of them. There's something about politicians telling you that they meet empty treasuries. Especially in the case of Nigeria, they've always met empty treasury. But records contradict that. Because if truly, because they met empty treasury and they met no money, is the reason why you, Nigerians, are having to face this hell on earth experience in the hands of APC, Egbekegbe. The level of injustice, the level of human rights abuses, the level of corruption, monumental corruption that has never been seen before in the history of that place, the indebtedness and capital, the level of insecurity, the irresponsibility, the collusion of the people in government with those who came to kill, destroy Nigerians, whether you are Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, Fula, whatever you are, as long as you are in that country, you are prone to be destroyed. But yet, the decisions and the indecisions of this rogue has claimed hundreds of thousands of deaths, of lives. But they don't want to be responsible for that. So I said, if by 2014, Nigeria was presumably, or should I say, factually, because they pushed some data to back that up at the time, Nigeria was rebased, and they said Nigeria was the biggest economy in Africa, with the net worth of I don't know, maybe now net worth of over $500 billion. And indeed, you could tell that even though Nigerians saw corruption at the worst level, the aggrandizement of those in PDP with Goodluck Jonathan, including his own wife, stinkingly corrupt enough that you can possibly still walk about and claim and then try to say, well, my rights cannot be trampled upon. You can stand up and group anywhere, and more so, you are not so intimidated of death or imprisonment for speaking up against Goodluck Jonathan at the time. But despite all those corruption or whatever allegation, the primary reason why many actually thought maybe Nigeria could have a chance, for those who believed in the lies without looking at the surface, or I mean, for those who are looking at the surface, but they are not looking at under the table of those who make up those Messiah team, APC. But for the first time, people thought, well, maybe there could be this reigning rearrangement all over the political space of Nigeria. Goodluck, Jonathan, and many of them will have to go to jail. But what they didn't tell you is this. Obasanjo started an account, and they called the account excess crude account. And the purpose of the excess crude account was that if Nigeria says, or the Nigeria economists, I don't know who project that to, if they say the crude oil for next year, we're going to put our benchmark at $50 per barrel. On that base, so the amount of amount of barrels that will be sold a day, a week, a month, a year will be estimated by that estimate. That will now be the template. Mostly, the government of Nigeria will now build their next year budget. Right? Among other things. Now, if that next year now come, and a barrel of crude oil is sold for $100 a barrel, that means Nigeria prepared for $50 and they want to live with that, but now they're making extra 50. So if Nigeria make $10 billion from crude oil sales, right, or projected to make 10 billion, in the process they make double, that's 20 billion. Obasanjo now suggested that, you see, that money, don't share it, just let's put it somewhere else. At some point, that account they created, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, that account had a total amount of $25 billion. Over time, the Obasanjo was there. One of the good things he did, but because he failed in building leadership in others, he thought he was the only one who could actually fix Nigeria because he's the only one who knows Nigeria better. He never planned on any successor. That is one of the things that led to this level now in Nigeria. But back to the story. Obasanjo built that account. So when Obasanjo was leaving government, Obasanjo left something around 21 point something billion in that account. Yar'Adua came in. By the time Yar'Adua did his own government for those 3 years that he was mostly sick, the depleting of that money finally got the money down to somewhere around 9 or so billion. No, hang on. It got the money down to 14 billion, I remember. $14 billion. Jonathan took over. By the time Jonathan was handing over government to Buhari, Jonathan handed over that account with a balance of somewhere around $7.5 billion. That is the first reference that Buhari met money. $7.5 billion. Though that money, excess crude account, is not owned by the federal government. The federal government owns 51% of the money, while the state government, just like the normal sharing formula, the state government and local government will share 49% of that money. However, when APC government took over, they met 7.5 billion in that account. Same thing with the, what do you call that one? Your foreign account, the Nigerian foreign account. Please give me a name. I keep mixing that up because of the terms of the names. Tell me, what do you call it? What do you call that, your account outside Nigeria? They call your foreign, where they keep your money. One word. Thank you. 45 billion he left in that Nigeria's foreign account. I need the name. Foreign reserve. Yeah, that's the name. The term, right? They call it foreign reserve. It's like, when you make surplus money, after your budget, everything is met, you put some away. just to build confidence in lenders that in case if Nigeria would need some credit and all of that to get some loan or borrow money, your foreign reserve would determine how much the lenders will probably charge you as interest. If you are doing well, you have a lot. China, according to the what we have been told, they say China gets a foreign reserve in the range of over $10 trillion. So something like that put China in a very massive, mighty stand. Yeah. Obasanjo left 45 billion there. 45 billion. By the time Jonathan was to hand over power to Buhari, the entire money left in that foreign account, that foreign reserve, was $31 billion. 31 billion. So between Yaradua and Jonathan, they depleted the money down to 31 billion. So when they handed over power to Buhari, for 6 straight months, Buhari, Babashir Lawal, so is that his name? Yeah, Babashir Lawal, the grass cutter. This one that died, Abba Kyari, and couple of handful northern trusted aides, they were those in charge of Nigeria. So for 6 straight months, according to Amaechi, the money left for them could not survive or sustain Nigeria for 3 weeks. How did Amaechi know? Now, within the 6 years of their government, that external reserve, Buhari's government, for the first time since Obasanjo's days, for the first time, some money was added to the excess crude account. And immediately, and if you ask me how much, it was $350 million. That is, they projected that the crude oil was going to be this. Yeah? And then it was more. Eventually, that year, they saved $350 million. But ladies and gentlemen, before I even get to that too, during the Goodluck Jonathan's 5 years, that crude oil was being sold for as high as $120 a barrel, and Nigeria's budget benchmark per barrel was between $50 and $70 per barrel. Goodluck Jonathan did not save a dime in that excess crude account. From 14 billion, they depleted it down to half, 7.5 billion. That is one of the excuses that the likes of Buhari, APC, and co, they always love to hold on to, passing the blame. But what did they do? I'll tell you. The excess crude account jumped from $7.5 billion to $7.85 billion. $350 million added. It didn't take them 6 months after adding that money. They depleted the money down to $1.5 billion within their first 3 years. The last one they took was the trip they made to America to go and see Donald Trump. How many of you remember that? 2019. That was the deal that they made in buying the Tucano jets to fight terrorists in Nigeria. Guess where they took the money? From the excess crude accounts. 1 billion. By that time, the balance in that account is no longer more than probably $70 million as we speak. So, here is another pointer to tell you that these rogues and criminals who would never be men enough to stand up and be responsible for once. Because I'll tell you the consequences of all of that. The narrative that the likes of Amaechi will try to change. Despite all of the corruption allegation and those ones in public, those ones not in public, open to Buhari. There was never a time that his government even invited Jonathan for questioning, something you would expect. In the way these guys said they are coming to clean the system, how can you clean a system that you are part of the debt? But again, no, you see, there is also a story you need to know. Depleting the excess crude account from 14 point something billion down to 7.5 billion, it wasn't the unilateral decision like Buhari has done so far. It was this same Amaechi and Adams Oshiomhole, governors of Rivers State and Edo State and governor of Lagos State, Fashola, that took Jonathan to court. That Jonathan must share that money in that account. So when they asked them why, they said they have received an intel that Jonathan has already started spending that money because they are finding it difficult to pay salary around that time. And true to it, yeah, Jonathan's government was already struggling to pay salary. One of those things these guys cashed on. And they said, since the money in excess crude account belonged to all Nigeria, not federal government, Jonathan must share it. My brothers and sisters, they went to court and they got a judgment. And Jonathan said, well, okay, fine. If I'm going to share the money, we cannot share everything. So within 4 years, they managed to make Jonathan share $7 billion to them, all of them. You know, Jonathan's government will take 51%. The remaining 49%, change it to Naira, went to them. What's the result? So, Jonathan was never questioned. To this day, now red cap. In fact, it is a photo op, a sort of a kind of show of one Nigeria to deceive the gullibles. Whenever Jonathan's going into the villa, you know, the joy, the happiness, the feeling that you see in them. That is not the feeling you see in people who care about people who die when they were sharing those money. So Amaechi, the governor, ensured that before he finally crossed over to, and they started APC, they shared half of that money. And when Buhari came, none of the state governors asked question about the excess crude account. How did that money just disappear? None of them had they don't have the liver. They don't have well, because they are all thieves. Who would ask Buhari question and they won't pick him up the next day? They know it. So Amaechi finally got appointed as minister. All of the criminals who chop and clean mouth in PDP, before you know it, they all started crossing over to APC. Those who refused to cross, they started picking them up as the poster men or poster boys and girls for fighting corruption. But guess what? Underneath, they were depleting, they were looting like tomorrow won't come, to the point that they got to a point of printing money to satisfy their insatiable lust for this colorful paper. Amaechi and gang finally got appointed. Oshiomhole became the party chairman of APC. You know the story. But 7 years down the line, Nigerians are poorer because the intention is not to make you kind of better off in order to have the privilege or the strength of challenging them. That is going to be counterproductive for them. So I keep asking, with what they told us about the PDP Jonathan, when they came in and they said they were going to ensure that every penny they stole from you will be recovered. What they didn't tell you or tell many of you then was when they recovered those they can recover and write those they can write, and write off those they can write off, you would only hear about them, you would never see them. And that's exactly what happened. So let's begin to take let's begin to pinpoint their own actions